Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Star Wars 2025 Republic Juggernaut, aka Turbo Tank. It comes with 813 pieces and I paid a bewildering $160 US for this. It's 150 euros, 140 pounds UK, or $200 Canadian. Depending upon what circles of the internet you frequent, you may have heard a bunch of noise about this and a bunch of controversy about this set. I'm going to tell you right now, I personally am staying away from all of that. I'm just going to evaluate this as a LEGO set, like I've been doing full time for over 12 years now. As a fan of LEGO, as a reasonable person who also has some product design background, some more software than hardware, but a little bit of physical product as well, and as a Star Wars fan. First things first impressions are good just looking at this. However, it is definitely small. It's the smallest minifig compatible turbo tank that they've done to date. I think it just feels squashed from the top a little bit, but overall proportions honestly aren't that bad for a LEGO toy. You know, this is not intended to be a collector item. Obviously, collectors will buy toys as well. Always have, as long as toys have been around, but this is focused as a play set, you know, a toy. And seeing it as that, I actually am very happy with the gaps, the lack of gaps, especially like how all of these different panels came together was really nice and really satisfying. What's not satisfying for me personally is the way they did the axles. And that's just always been the case. I've never seen one of these that had axles that I personally liked. You know, they need to be much more beefy, just add some more stuff in there. However, I don't mind how they did the wheels, and they do roll just fine, even on a very, very, very hard and smooth surface. So these work just fine as long as you don't tighten up the ends too much. That's probably something they should have given better instructions for. Make sure that you don't push the ends in to the point where the stoppers, the little brown axle piece with the stopper on the end, actually binds up with the wheel. As long as you don't do that, you're going to be just fine. And this does have the tilt steering. So when you lean this, look at that. Look at that. It feels cool. Yeah, it's wobbling a little bit at the end, but ultimately I think that this is just a cool feature that's implemented pretty well for play. It's not using springs in here. It's just using little rubber bushings. And overall, just I think that the feel of this and the look of it both are pretty good from the start, in spite of the fact that it is small. Now, with the small size, my biggest worry is that it won't do much. It has one of these stud or tile shooters on either side. You've got the observation posts here, which can be just raised and lowered. They don't have a geared mechanism in it anymore. I mean, it's kind of a little bit janky that it just pulls out like that, but it, you know, technically it does work. You can put a figure, have them stand there, and you know, the imaginative play kind of works. Unfortunately, this does block the top here, so when this is all the way down, the top, this front part is not going to open up. If I can get my finger in there, there you go. It's not going to open up all the way, so you do need to move that out the way. This little thing here isn't attached all that well, honestly, at the top, but it can be rotated around just a little bit. And then back here, you've got the tail gunner position with a nice little yoke there. And that is also a spot where you can fit a minifigure standing in there. I guess you gotta get sorry about that, get this out the way. And that is also able to shoot, obviously. It's got the stud or tile shooter at the back. And then down here, you can adjust these to represent, you know, little rear point defense cannons, up and down, no side to side. And that's it. Now we need to look at the interior. This is where I'm really worried. All right, these open up ever so slightly. It doesn't really do all that much. This opens up and there's a single seat down there, which is perfectly fine. They've got just a small sticker down there and there's easy enough access to put somebody in that spot. Unfortunately, the little neck area here, or waist area, depending upon how you look at it, this always looks like the front because I'm so used to, you know, cabs on trucks and things. And also, of course, this is ultimately, it's a throwback to an early concept for the AT-AT or AT-AT walker back when it was possibly going to be a wheeled thing. And here they just turned it back around to the original intent. So this is like the father of the AT-AT. So this opens up here. You can't really use that space. I can open up this up to the side. You could potentially put a figure in there. I would say good luck with it. It's just not really accessible. I'm used to having some sort of tool or accessory or at least ammo storage in this space. That's not there. So far we got one seat here on the side. All this opens up, thankfully. You can open that up fairly far. And then this is easy to remove because it's not even attached with anything. I'm fine with that, good with that. So good access from the top. Again, this needs to be pulled up or out entirely in order to open the front. And there's your main driver's seat, which is easy to access. Got a console right there, right? Easy to put a person there. And then you have accommodations for at least 5 people. 5 people sitting. You can even have somebody standing on the side. There is enough height here where they can fit with the helmet just barely underneath. This person might need to lean forward a little bit, but they can attach in there. And then you can kind of, work some magic around with arithmetic to fit more than just the intended 5 people. Those are intended to be 5 seats, but take that seat out, have more people standing in the middle. This is actually a pretty good use of interior space here, and it's accessible well enough, but again, it's too bad you can't realistically easily do something with this spot here. It's just a little bit too cramped. Maybe smaller hands can do stuff, but I personally would have preferred some storage for ammos or ammo studs or tiles, or maybe extra weapons or other accessories for the figures. That right there is not going to work because you can't really stand, so you got to sit them down. Okay, there we go. Is that going to work? There we go. Yeah, you can have one person sitting there, but it's just not a great feature. So overall, this part I think is fine. This is fine. This is okay, and ultimately for how small this is, because it is very small. Again, the smallest turbo tank that they've ever done. Hey, it's working out okay, and it kind of feels good to grab it. Here's one thing that did bug me as I've played with this, because I got my hands on it quite a bit, was trying to figure out the durability and just kind of the feel of it. This bugs me quite a bit. This right here, this stud is used to lock the side plate into place. Now on one side right now, it keeps self-aligning. It comes back, so that holds itself in place, kind of locks the structure together. This side does not, for me personally. It keeps just moving slightly out of alignment. So I got to put it back now. See, that just went in, but oftentimes it tends to just kind of bend back, and then this just doesn't close up all the way. And when it doesn't close up, then you don't complete the structure here. This is actually locking together. You don't need to have the top on it, but the intent is, they don't have a handle or anything. You're just supposed to be able to just grab this thing and just play with it. And I've done that. I've grabbed it in weird ways because I heard durability of this is really bad. I've grabbed it from here, grabbed it from here, and I'm like, okay, seems fine to me. Like, I don't expect to be able to lift it from one of these doors. These are obviously flimsy. They're not really connected in. So if you try to lift it from here, that piece is going to come off. That's not that big of a deal to me. Just generally, this feels okay until I mess with it a little bit more. Like, I can do this for a minute. I can make it look good, actually. I can fake it. I can make it look good. But in reality, let me show you this. Let me actually try to record this in real time. So I've closed everything up. I've got the thing I told you about on the sides. I got those locked in. Everything's all closed up and nice and tight, the way that it's supposed to be when it's freshly built. And I'm just going to be picking it up from right here, an obvious spot, which seems to work just fine. And I'm not going to be super rough with it. I'm not going to try to do anything weird here. You're seeing exactly what I'm doing. I'm already knowing what's going to happen. I'm already feeling a little bit uneasy about this, but not throwing it around, not jerking it up suddenly, not throwing it down, not bending it when it goes down onto the ground. Do you see what just happened? That's real time. You see what just happened? All of this just separated. All of this just separated right in here. And that's with everything together. That's the entire center of the superstructure of all of the body that just separated from the chassis. It's now just hanging on from back here. There are some Technic pieces back here that will hold the structure together, but this is starting to come apart. That's not good. That's not good at all. All right, I've got this tightened back up. Everything looks like it is the way that it's supposed to be, securely again. And remember earlier, I mentioned that this is clearly marketed as a toy. It's marketed, that's annoying that this comes off, but that's not that big of a deal. It's marked 9+ on the box. It's not 18+ on the marketing materials on the website, on lego.com. They show it being played with by a kid. Again, if you're a collector who buys toys, nothing wrong with that. Hey, I'm with you. but this is not designed to be something for adults specifically, and for folks who are going to be very dainty with it. This is supposed to be able to be played with, and in play, stuff, you know, gets roughed around, and I'm not being rough with it here at all. So this is realistically just not realistic for the average use of this, unless it's just going to be put on the shelf, where it's going to be very carefully grabbed from under here, because you know already that it's fragile. If you do that, okay, you're good. But you should expect this thing to not disintegrate if it's just handled like this. It's just picked up and put down, and yet there it goes. So I take this, open it up, close it back. Well, it's too late. It's already separated from down here. If I were to try to do that from here, obviously, you know, that's gone. This is out. These pieces, yeah, it's not good. Looking at figures, we've got Commander Bakara over here with the nice, unique mold for the helmet and pretty good printing on it. I desperately want to panel line that. I want to get more details in there, but no, I mean, the mold that's there and the print both turned out pretty nicely, and the print going literally from head to toe is looking pretty nice. Ki Adi Mundi in the middle, obviously, with the paint apps back here. The white isn't that great. You know, it's not completely opaque, but it's not too bad. You know, it's a relatively difficult piece to do. They did it with a single hit of paint. I'm assuming that is masked. I think it turns out okay. And then over here at Galactic Marine, there are 3 of these in the set. And as I understand it, folks who were literal children who grew up with Clone Wars are very excited about both of these, but especially these over here. I'm obviously way too old to feel that nostalgia, but I'm happy for the fans to get something that a bunch of them have been wanting. This looks good also to me from head to toe as a Legoification of the figures, but obviously there's no continuation of the comma piece, which should be on these guys as well as this guy. The red there should continue around the side, should continue around the side. If they're not going to include the cloth pieces, they should at least have some printing on the side, if not dual molded legs, just something, just a nod. You know, it's well known by now that fans want that, and they do, I won't say deserve that, but you know, you are paying a very premium, extraordinarily premium price for this set. So just one extra paint app, I think, should be allowed to the design team. I think that the bean counters are just being a little bit too rough on the designers, and I'm sure that the designers want to give more accuracy, more details. They're just really, really limited at the budget level to a crazy degree now, and that's not something that they can control, and designers have no control over the final price to us consumers either. There are the other 2 Galactic Marines, just to confirm that. So here's the 3rd one. And then we get 3 generic B1 battle droids, which are just the same as they've always been, except for the inclusion of the gunmetal gray or dark pearl gray color for the blasters. And anybody who says that any one of these should count fully as a minifigure when you're looking at value, you think that one of these should be valued the same as one of these, we are just not cut from the same cloth, because there's no way that this should cost the same as this when we're looking at value. We shouldn't value these the same and just say, oh, there are X number of minifigs. No, these don't even come assembled, and they also don't have any paint applications or anything on them. It's just a pile of pieces is all that you get. So no, this is worth a lot more. Just a quick look at the leftover pieces, including some extra tiles for the shooters that unfortunately have no place to go in the turbo tank because they have no storage, like I talked about earlier. And this is what the sticker sheet looked like. Not too much going on there. In terms of value, can you tell me why this costs $30 US more than this? They're both Disney licensed. They both come with 5 minifigures, 5 real minifigures. See what I did there with the little bit of setup earlier? 5 real minifigures, and then just a pile of parts off to the side that we like to call minifigures if we're only looking at it on paper and not being real and fair with it. Yeah, why is this $30 less than this? What about this comparo? Why is this $10 more than that? And that has these big, nice, durable printed cloth pieces, and this is presented as an adult collector item. Why is this $30 more than all that without discounts? And yes, this does have a full light kit. Those are all LEDs. Review over on my other bricks channel. Everything's lit up. Why is this the same price as this? And this combined? That's 55. That's 90. Okay. 165 for those. 160 for this. 165 for both of those together. Both of them. And finally, why does this cost the same as all 4 of these put together? 1, 2, 3, 4. And the one and true answer is because it can. Because enough of us continue to pay these absolutely astonishingly stupid, not just illogical, but dumb prices for these piles of sewer downpipe plastic. It's literally the same stuff. It's ABS pellet. It's not a high-end plastic. And no, it's not made in high-wage countries. It's mostly made in low-wage countries. Look it up. Look at where Lego's factories are. And unfortunately, in this case, the product itself has some serious issues too. I really was liking it as I put it together. I really liked how these gaps came together. I mean, I feel very satisfied with this, and I'm not mad at the fact that it's gotten smaller again, because at least it has good interior space. Stuff kind of needs to get smaller because huge toys just aren't the thing anymore. I mean, it's hard enough to get kids to play with toys these days, especially for very long, when they've got phones that have infinite entertainment in them. And I think that, bringing the size down so it's more reasonable for more to be owned in smaller spaces, and keeping the cost down as well makes sense. I think this could have been a good product if it had been built better, if there was similar tying down with the Technic stuff, Technic pieces and Technic bracing in the center here to what they did at the end, towards the front there. If they just replicated that, I think it would have been a perfectly fine product. Could do better with the minifigures a little bit, could do more with them, but I would have been actually pretty happy with this. Probably more happy than most people who I've heard looking at it and talking about it. However, the price just completely wipes the thing off the slate entirely when it comes to the realm of reasonability. It's not there. It's not even close. Not even a little bit. Makes zero sense. I don't recommend that anybody continue to pay ridiculous, dumb prices for just a small pile of plastic. It makes no sense. Please stop. Just don't. If the price of something doesn't make sense, don't listen to influencers saying, but it comes with some super deformed, really weird looking little plastic sewer pipe, plastic mini figurine toy things with a couple points of articulation and a couple quick tempo prints. So it's worth however much you pay, because minifigs, no, don't buy this unless you can get it for like 50% off. That would be a good price. If you get this for $100, it's going to feel expensive, but I guess okay by today's ridiculous standards. But nah, unfortunately, this is a big pass when it comes to recommending it. I can't recommend it to anybody unless you are really just rich. Money doesn't mean anything to you, and you love the look of this, and you love its compact size, or you love the figures and the look of it, not just the figures. Please don't buy it just for the figures. Don't do that. No, it ruins the whole market. Don't. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was informative to you. I hope I didn't get too long in the tooth talking about it too much, but I hope that I covered important things, including a lot of how I personally feel about this as a fan of Lego, as a fan of collectibles, toys, and Star Wars in particular. Bye for now.